there. Very good evening and welcome to Rajya TV's News at 6, where we get you the day's top developing stories. Our focus, of course, remains on the developments after the aftermath of the Uri attack. Lots of developments in the national capital concerning it. Let's get you all the headlines first. Central government top brass meets at Prime Minister's residence to discuss the Uri terror attack. Scope of response to attack discussed. Reasons behind infiltration also explored. Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari condemns the Uri attack at the NAM summit in Venezuela. India also lodges protests against Pakistan for its malignant support to terror. India finds support from the US, UK and the UN. Besides condemning the Uri attack, they also commit to stand by India in its fight against terror. Kaveri Supervisory Committee meets to decide quantum of river water to be released by Karnataka, asks the state to release 3,000 cusecs per day from the 21st to the 30th of September. And Vladimir Putin's United Russia Party wins the parliamentary elections, gains 51% of the votes to extend dominance in the lower house of parliament. The top story, Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday chaired a high-level meeting attended by top ministers and other officials over the deadly terror attack in Uri. The appropriate response to the attack is believed to have been discussed. Meanwhile, a team of NIA has been dispatched to Uri to collect evidence from the spot. The attack on Sunday claimed the lives of 18 soldiers.
A day after the deadly terror strike in Uri, the top brass of the union government went into a huddle in the national capital on Monday. First, the Home Minister held a meeting in which National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, Army Chief General Dalbir Singh Suhag and top officials of the Ministries of Home and Defence, paramilitary forces and chiefs of intelligence agencies briefed him on the latest situation in the Kashmir Valley as well as along the line of control. Later, Home Minister Rajnath Singh, Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley, NSA Ajit Doval and Army Chief General Suhag met the Prime Minister at his residence. Sources say, apart from the scope of response to the terror attack, the reasons behind the infiltration from across the line of control were also discussed at these meetings.
नकारने या उसको इनकार करना कोई मायने नहीं रखता है, सब चीज सामने में आ चुका है, इसलिए पाकिस्तान क्या रिएक्शन करता है उस पर अभी ज्यादा हम लोगों को ध्यान नहीं देना है। जो कदम उठाना है वो सोच समझ करके कदम उठाएंगे, उसको ज्यादा बयानबाजी करके उसको बिल्कुल अलग तरह का मुद्दा नहीं बनाना है।
Meanwhile, the chorus for a strong reply to Pakistan gained momentum, with opposition parties blaming the NDA government's Pak policy for the situation. Even BJP ally Shiv Sena took a dig at the Modi government.
I think there is not even a minority of one in India who feels otherwise than that India should give a befitting reply to Pakistan, the details of which are for the government to decide.
कश्मीर का इशू सिर्फ कश्मीर का इशू नहीं है, देश का इशू है। कश्मीर पर जो हमला है वो देश पर हमला है। 17 जवानों की शहादत है ये। इसके लिए जिम्मेदार कौन है? उसका जवाब तो देना ही पड़ेगा जनता को।
The defence minister and army chief had visited Uri after the attack and met the injured soldiers. A team of National Investigation Agency is also expected to visit Uri to gather leads and other evidence from the terror attack site. Heavily armed militants suspected to be from Pakistan-based Jaish-e-Mohammed had stormed an army base in Uri in Kashmir on Sunday, killing several Jawans. Vishal Dahiya's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
In fact, Vishal Daya is joining us for the moment on this particular story that he's been tracking, of course, the entire day. Vishal, first of all, give us a sense of what the government is planning at the moment. In what way further can we see them taking this forward to Pakistan, considering that, Pakistan has, in fact, condemned India's statements, calling it vitriolic, saying that, this really doesn't hold any truth as far as what India is claiming at this point?
Well, Tracy, as far as the central government is concerned, it has its hands full as of now. It has to have not one-dimensional, not even two-dimensional, but multi-dimensional response to this particular situation. And, within 24 hours of that attack, we've seen a senior minister, that's the defense minister, as well as the army chief, visiting the location. Today, in fact, the entire day was spent by the top brass of the Modi government in a huddle, one after another. There were a series of meetings, beginning with the defense minister, Manohar Parrikar, briefing the finance minister, briefing the prime minister, and then later on the home minister, convening an urgent meeting with the senior officials of both home and defense ministry, as well as the NSA, the director of IB, the director of RAW, as well as DG of CRPF and BSF as well. This was all done to go ahead and assess the situation. One, two, to find out an answer to a very important question as to how come once again the security cordon was breached in a manner in which 4 militants could enter the most secure location along the border, and how did it all happen? Where were the lapses? Was it because of intelligence failure? Was it because of failure on part of those who were present and guarding the location? Or was there some other reason? This is one particular important question to which the government would now want to find the answer. Another dimension to this entire situation would be giving a befitting answer in diplomatic terms to Pakistan, because immediately once the reaction started coming in, Pakistan has defended itself once again, repeated the same argument which it has been giving for the past couple of decades now, and the government will have to go ahead and put up a strong diplomatic defense, as well as be on the offensive in terms of ensuring that the evidence which they have right now points fingers to the Pakistan, then it should be pretty much passed on to the international community as well. And the last but not the least, and the most important one, is for the domestic audience. The pressure has been increasing on the government. The chorus has been gaining momentum about giving that befitting reply, although yes, only some are using the word in terms of surgical strikes, yes, or moving into sort of a hot pursuit against the perpetrators of such crimes inside the POK or the Pakistani territory. But as of now, the government and the leaders of the government have maintained a very a mature silence as of now. They are not giving any indication as to what might be the government's strategy vis-a-vis this particular aspect.
And that's the only saving grace, isn't it, Vishal? I mean, at least at this point of time, they are not feeding into those emotional suggestions, emotional requests, or whatever you could say, demands really of the local people, of the civilians. At least at this point of time, they're trying to keep it calm as far as it is possible at this point of time. We'll keep an eye out on developments on that front with you, Vishal. Thanks so much for joining us. Meanwhile, Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti laid wreaths on the coffins of 17 of the soldiers that were martyred in Sunday's militant attack in Uri. Senior army and civil administration officials also attended that ceremony held at the army headquarters in Badami Bagh. The Chief Minister later visited the injured soldiers at the 92 base hospital of the army. The bodies of the martyred soldiers will be flown to their native places in different places in different areas across the country. Now, while 2 of the 17 soldiers hail from Jammu and Kashmir, rest of them belong to Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Maharashtra, West Bengal, Jharkhand and Rajasthan. The Maharashtra government has announced financial assistance of 15 lakh rupees each to the families of soldiers from the state killed in this attack. Bihar too has announced 5 lakh rupees ex gratia each to 3 soldiers hailing from the state. The UP government has also announced financial assistance of 20 lakh rupees each to the families of the Jawans from the state. The Jharkhand government announcing 10 lakh rupees for the families of the slain soldiers from the state.
शहर में काम करने के लिए जाता था और काफ़ी मेहनत है, सुबह शाम दौड़ धूप खेल कूद और मेहनत के उपरांत वो इस मुकाम तक पहुंचा था और उसका लक्ष्य था देश सेवा करना।
हमें गर्व है उसके शहीद हो गए, लेकिन यह ऐसा जो हानि हो गई इसके बारे में सरकार ने ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा कठोर शिक्षा करना चाहिए देशद्रोही को।
Meanwhile, protests erupted across India over the terror attack that claimed the lives of 18 soldiers. Lawyers at the Bar Association of Jammu held demonstrations raising slogans against Pakistan. Protesting lawyers also sought stern action to prevent such incidents in the future. Protests were also held in Chandigarh and Hyderabad against Sunday's deadly attack. And India lodged a strong protest at the NAM summit in Venezuela as well over the Uri attack. Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari said that such an attack is a result of one country sponsoring cross-border terrorism. Minister of State for External Affairs MJ Akbar said that Pakistan was using poison instead of dialogue to resolve bilateral issues.
Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari has strongly condemned a terrorist attack on the Army administrative base in Uri on Sunday. In a statement, he said that such attacks are the result of the use of cross-border terrorism by one particular country in the region. We shall deal with such provocations in a befitting manner. At the NAM summit, Minister of State for External Affairs MJ Akbar lodged a strong protest against Islamabad for its mischievous and malignant support to terror. Akbar said that the terrorist attack in Uri has highlighted Pakistan's desire to use poison instead of dialogue.
Pakistan has reduced itself to pariah status in the international community because of its hypocrisy, because of its blatant sponsorship of terrorism, of terrorists, because it gives sanctuary, support, both domestic and international, to terrorists, because of its investment in this evil and menace of terrorism.
India also raised the issue of terrorism at the summit. Vice President Ansari said that the nations of the non-aligned movement must aim for peace and development, and for this, dealing with terrorism was an important step.
No cause justifies the indiscriminate killing of innocent civilians as a means to achieve a political goal or change of policies. Terrorism is one of the most egregious sources of human rights violations today, and its use as an instrument of state policy is to be unequivocally condemned.
India had aimed that a working group on terrorism be formed during the NAM summit, but the efforts were scuttled by Pakistan.
There was one country in our neighborhood who did not allow consensus to be reached on this matter. This is an issue which President Maduro now has put further on the agenda, saying that he will, in his presidency, outline this as one of his priorities, and we will fully support him as we go forward.
Meanwhile, Pakistan also raised the Kashmir issue at the NAM summit and said peace in South Asia cannot be achieved without the settlement of the issue in accordance with the resolutions of the UN Security Council. With inputs from Shyam Sundar and Shivakumar in Venezuela, Bureau Report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And political parties, armed forces, defense experts and others are in rage after the Uri attack in Kashmir Valley, with the demand for a befitting reply to Pakistan rising soon after.
ये आप अगर कहते हैं कि नहीं साहब ये टेरर अटैक है, तब आप पाकिस्तान की भाषा बोल रहे हैं, ये नॉन स्टेट एक्टर्स की है। नहीं, ये बिल्कुल स्टेट स्पॉन्सर्ड अटैक, सिर्फ यूनिफॉर्म नहीं है, बाकी सब स्टेट स्पॉन्सर्ड।
ये नरेंद्र मोदी के लापरवाही से हमारे जवान मारे जा रहे हैं और ये इनके हमारा पार्ट एंड पार्सल हिस्सा है, वो धीरे धीरे हाथ से निकलता नजर आ रहा है।
बहुत ही दुखदायी और अफसोस है। मैं सारे शहीद जवानों को श्रद्धांजलि अर्पित करता हूं और पाकिस्तान जो है वो पूरी तरह से कश्मीर की जो समस्या है घाटी की, उसका पूरा लाभ उठा रहा है।
Terrorism is not a solution to the current crisis in Kashmir. That can only be solved through a political dialogue with all the stakeholders, like the all-party delegation said, and that is the process that the government, both Center and the J&K government, should start immediately.
ये एक अविश्वास का माहौल बना हुआ है दोनों के बीच में, वहाँ की जनता और केंद्र सरकार और राज्य सरकार के बीच में। तो जब तक एक बार लोगों का कॉन्फिडेंस दोबारा नहीं लौटता है, तब तक के कश्मीर में शांति पैदा होगी मुझे नहीं लगता है।
And India found support from a host of countries like the US, the UK and China in condemning the terror attack in Uri. The US released a statement extending condolences to the victims and their families. Strongly condemning the attack, the US also expressed its commitment to a strong partnership with the Indian government to combat terrorism. The British Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson also condemned the terror attack in the strongest possible words, extending condolences to the victims' families and friends. Johnson said the UK condemns all forms of terrorism and stands shoulder to shoulder with India in the fight against terrorism. China too voiced concern over the escalation of violence and called on India and Pakistan to resolve their differences through dialogue and enhance counter-terrorism cooperation. And UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon also released a statement expressing hope that the perpetrators of the crime would be brought to justice and all stakeholders will meet their responsibilities to maintain peace and stability. With a quick break here, we'll keep an eye out, of course, on developments in the aftermath of Uri, but we'll also get to you all the national news updates.
Tales that inspire. Stories of social change. A salute to diversity. Promoting public discourse. Events that motivate. Inspiring the innovative spirit. Watch Rajya Sabha television documentaries.
Welcome back. The Kaveri Supervisory Committee on Monday directed the Karnataka government to release 3,000 cusecs of water to Tamil Nadu for the next 10 days. The committee, chaired by Union Water Resources Secretary Shashi Shekhar, said that Karnataka will release the water from the 21st to the 30th of September. The meeting was attended by the Chief Secretaries of Karnataka, Tamil Nadu and Puducherry and senior officials of Kerala. The order comes a day ahead of a Supreme Court hearing on the dispute. The Supervisory Committee, in its previous meeting on the 12th of September, had failed to arrive at any decision.
The Supreme Court order is to Karnataka to release 12,000 cusecs till 20th. So my order is from 21st till 30th. Both of them did not agree with this proposition, but you have to take into account the daily inflows, the rainfall deficit. In fact, we took into account the deficit in rainfall till date, and it was almost 35% overall, and in the Kabini Basin it was close to 65%.
Well, on the 12th of September, the Supreme Court had directed Karnataka to release 12,000 cusecs up to September 20th. The interim order led to protests in various parts of Karnataka, especially in Mandya district, considered the hotbed of Kaveri politics. And now to Uttar Pradesh, where the truce brokered in the Samajwadi Party by Supremo Mulayam Singh Yadav seems to be crumbling again. Within hours of taking charge as the new president of the state unit, Shivpal Yadav expelled MLC Arvind Pratap Yadav from the party. Arvind is the nephew of SP National General Secretary Ram Gopal Yadav, who had last week spoken in favour of Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav. Besides Arvind, 7 other party functionaries were also sacked, all considered close to Akhilesh Yadav. Their sacking was followed by mass resignations by a number of youth leaders in the party. Protests were also held outside the Samajwadi Party office. However, Shivpal Yadav maintained the removal of the leaders was due to indiscipline.
जो भी अनुशासनहीनता करेगा और जो भी गलत काम करेगा, अवैध काम करेगा, उनके खिलाफ कार्रवाई होगी और किसी भी कीमत पर अनुशासनहीनता बर्दाश्त नहीं की जाएगी और जो भी पार्टी विरोधी गतिविधियों में शामिल होगा उसके खिलाफ कार्रवाई होगी।
Meanwhile, the national capital continues to reel under the chikungunya outbreak, its worst in the last 6 years. In light of the problem, Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has appealed to all to shun politics and jointly tackle the menace of the vector-borne diseases on a war footing. Dengue and chikungunya complications have claimed at least 33 lives this season and affected over 2,800 people. Lieutenant Governor Najib Jung also visited several hospitals across the city on Sunday to take stock of their preparedness in dealing with a rising number of chikungunya and dengue cases. He stressed on special attention to the elderly. Meanwhile, a man threw ink on Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia outside the Lieutenant Governor's office. He claimed that he was upset about the ARP leader's tour of Finland when the city was grappling with a health crisis. Sisodia in turn said the ink attack on him was a reflection of the dirty politics of the Congress and the BJP.
ये कांग्रेस और बीजेपी की घटिया राजनीति है। इन लोगों को दिल्ली के लिए कुछ करना है नहीं, ये सिर्फ फेंकने और राजनीति करते हैं। अगर मैं इनको चुनौती देता हूँ, बीजेपी के पास एमसीडी है, जाके अगर बीजेपी के कूड़ाघरों को साफ करके दिखाएं, जो ये नगर निगम के।
दिल्ली की जनता परेशान हो रही है, यहाँ नहीं देखा जाएगा। फिनलैंड घूमना जो हमारे पैसे से, इनके पैसे, सबके पैसों से बाहर घूमना जरूरी समझ रही है? समुद्र के आगे फोटो खिंचवा रहे हैं।
In our international news, and in Russia, the ruling United Russia Party has won the parliamentary election. The President Vladimir Putin-backed party gained 51% votes to extend its dominance in the lower house of parliament or Duma. Putin said that the win shows voters still trust the leadership despite an economic slowdown. The polling also saw the opposition Liberal Party failing to get enough votes to even make it into parliament. Here's more.
Russia's ruling United Russia Party, backed by President Vladimir Putin, has cruised to an easy victory in the parliamentary polls. In a record low turnout, the party secured 54.2% of ballots and 343 seats in the 450-member parliament, with more than 90% of the votes counted. Putin said the win showed that the voters still trusted the leadership, despite an economic slowdown made worse by Western sanctions over Ukraine.
Вот трудно, тяжело, а люди все равно за Единую Россию не проголосовали. Ну, во-первых, о чем, я думаю, о чем это говорит? Говорит о том, что, во всяком случае, люди видят, что представители Единой России, ведущие политической силы, реально стараются для людей.
The Nationalist Liberal Democratic Party and the Communist Party secured just over 13% votes, while a Just Russian Party gained a little more than 6% of the votes. All four parties are loyal to Putin and had dominated the last parliamentary election as well. The two main liberal opposition parties, Yabloko and Parnas, were nearly wiped out as they received just 1.89% and 0.7% of the votes respectively. Both parties failed to win enough votes to get a seat in the parliament. Former Russian Prime Minister and Parnas leader Mikhail Kasyanov said the vote was not free and fair and warned that the low turnout was a dangerous sign for the ruling government.
Понятно, что выборы, как мы изначально, когда мы входили в эти выборы, мы говорили, что они не свободные и несправедливые. Сейчас мы будем уже говорить о третьем факторе, достоверны ли сами данные по голосованию.
The result increases United Russia's majority after it achieved 49% of the vote in the 2011 Duma elections. The party, led by Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev, will also take more seats in parliament, up from 238 to 343. The result can push Putin's campaign for re-election in 2018, though he has not yet confirmed that he will seek another term. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And now to the US, where 2 days after a powerful blast injured 29 people in an upscale New York locality, a suspicious backpack containing multiple improvised explosive devices was found at a New Jersey train station. One of the devices exploded as a bomb squad was attempting to disarm it with a robot. FBI said a suspicious package was picked out of a bin by two men who thought the bag could contain something of value. This was the third such attack over the weekend following the New York bombing and stabbings in Minnesota. Meanwhile, investigation continues into Saturday's explosion in New York. FBI took 5 people in custody for questioning but made no arrests. A man seen on surveillance video has been described as a person of interest by investigators. And here's some more international news updates in Global Buzz. UN war crimes investigators called on European countries to let them interview newly arrived Syrian refugees to document fresh violations. The panel said it has compiled a confidential list of suspects on all sides of the conflict that have carried out war crimes or crimes against humanity. The chairman of the commission said it has become more difficult to access victims and witnesses as Syrian refugees increasingly flee outside the region. A 20-truck aid convoy headed for Aleppo in Syria and was still stuck at a Turkish border hours after a 7-day ceasefire in Syria expired. The UN said it was frustrated that the aid had not yet passed into Syria from Turkey, adding it had not received necessary permissions and safety guarantees from the Syrian government for it to proceed with the deliveries. The aid has been sitting at the border in a controlled customs area for a week. Chinese and Russian navies conducted an island-seizing operation today during joint navy drills in the South China Sea that kicked off last week. The navies of both the countries participated in a drill at a time of heightened tension in contested waters. China announced that it had called the routine naval exercises in July, saying the drills were intended to strengthen cooperation and were not aimed at any other country. Last year, the two navies held joint military drills in the Sea of Japan and the Mediterranean. And here are some quick updates from the world of sports in Sports Beat. Indian shuttler Saurabh Verma fell at the final hurdle of the Belgian International Badminton Tournament as he lost to Luca Corvi of France in the summit clash. Unseeded Saurabh lost in straight sets 19-21, 19-21 against his fifth-seeded opponent. The Rio Paralympics ended with a glittering ceremony at the Maracana Stadium in Rio de Janeiro on Sunday. China dominated the games with 239 medals, followed by Britain, Ukraine and the US. India capped off a successful campaign by procuring their best-ever haul of 4 medals, including 2 gold, 1 silver and a bronze. Real Madrid beat Espanyol 2-0 to move 3 points clear at the top of La Liga. Goals from James Rodriguez and Karim Benzema gave them a record equaling 16th consecutive win at Spain's top division. Barca are second with 9 points. Nico Rosberg took the World Championship lead from Lewis Hamilton following a thrilling win at the Singapore Grand Prix. Rosberg held off a late charge by Red Bull's Daniel Ricciardo in a nail-biting climax. His Mercedes teammate Lewis Hamilton came third and now trails Rosberg by 8 points. That's it on the news at 6. Thanks so much for joining us.